Hey, this is Matt. Once again, welcome back to another video. This is another paid request, this time for James. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for a series of unfortunate events. The episodes, The Miserable Mill Part 1 and 2, which are the last two episodes of this season. And I will say these two episodes made it go, I'm not really a fan of this show. I just say that I'm not really a fan of the show because I get that it's what the gist of the story is. Of course, I've seen the other episodes, but at this point, it's just becoming so repetitive, and it becomes such a lack of joy, and that's the purpose. I mean, the title, the opening credits, literally sing that thought process. Look away. Pretty much telling you not to watch the show. Literally, the deep. I'm like, well, you know what? Maybe you have a point. Maybe I shouldn't watch it because the gist of the episode is the kids are going to this burnt down lumber mill as part of this town, and we do get some recognizable people. We get Don Johnson, who I like from the film Dead Bane, TV show Miami Vice, many other stuff. He is the boss of this lumber mill. Catherine O'Hara is the optometrist, but you also find out she's an ex-girlfriend to Olaf, Neil Patrick Harris's character. Don Johnson says that your parents burnt down this place. The workers seem very, very happy about their job, to the point even though they're only paid in coupons, even though they only have gum to eat for lunch, they're still very happy. So you know something's going on. And lo and behold, there's a bit of hypnotism being done, where Catherine O'Hara, which I recognize her from, she's the mom in Home Alone and Home Alone 2, among many other films. She was in Beetlejuice. Seen a day, yo, he's a day, yo. They're being hypnotized to work better, work harder, and eventually the boy of this group of kids gets hypnotized. And it's one of those things where it's a culmination of a lot of stuff that just was so unsatisfying for me. Yes, I'm sure if you read the source material, you'd be gun ho about it. But for me, I'm like, okay, this is the end of season 1, and that's where it led up to. That's it. That's what it led up to. It's just this consecutive series of downbeat notes that have such a lack of joy. And there's so many tropes that are repetitive and repeated that I'm just so sick and tired of it that I never. I mean, unless James wants to request it, he could be my guest, that's fine. Like I said, any type of request, feel free to send it. PayPal's usually the best bet. Be my guest. But on my own, if it wasn't a request, then no, I would not watch anymore. If it is, then I will. If it's not, then no. Because this is I did that's the point. I did it. It's called a series of unfortunate events. Unfortunate for a reason. But when there's no hope, no sunshine, again, there's a lack of joy. The two kids, I know they're told to act a certain way because the dialogue is done in a certain verbiage, but it makes it hard for those kids to really elicit big emotional responses because they almost have to be so dry. But when you're consistently this dry for this many episodes, unless there's a change of pace from it, then it just becomes tedious to watch. It's tedious to watch these characters talk in the same way, talk in the same verbiage, in this type of certain acting style to service the dialogue. And it just makes it tiresome to see those characters. Yet again, Olaf comes in. Yet again, he has a disguise. Yet again, the adults don't believe him. Yet again, they don't believe that this is all off in disguise. Yet again, the banker, who I just despise him. I mean, he's in the beginning. We must act without delay. I'm like, no, you must learn how to act. Because I do think this guy, he's given a terrible acting performance. Maybe the dialogue, the character doesn't help him. But I think he's terrible in his acting performance. It makes me mad, makes me pissed. Anytime I see this character, this banker. See you soon, banker. I want to dip them in some dots and melt them with hot chocolate. I don't know. I just so tired of this character. Sick and tired of seeing him. Oh, and this whole thing in the show where you kept seeing what you thought was their parents. Their parents, their parents, their parents. I can't believe I forgot the actor name. He was in Insidious. He was in The Conjuring. He was the star of that. I cannot believe why can't I remember his name? I have to look it up. Was that him or is that someone else? Maybe I'm thinking of someone. I'll just look it up. It'll take a minute. But you kind of find out that those parents might be a different actor. They were never the parents of these two kids. They went through all this stuff, all this struggle, escaping from the prison to get to this group of triplets. At least I think there were 3 kids. Yeah, triplets, just like our lead characters are triplets. And they get home, they open the door, and it's 3 kids we've never seen before. So this whole time, we follow these parents. I'm like, that is such a cheap shot. That is such a cheap... That's when you go, piss off, show. Piss off. Because again, you build up all this stuff with the parents, and I'm thinking, well, okay, maybe they'll be found for, they'll have a nice moment, but then they'll get kidnapped again, or they'll get killed for good this time, or something of that nature. But the fact that it was all BS, hornswoggled, bamboozled, it was a trick. It was a cheap trick. It was a cheap trick, and I'm kind of sitting there going, are you kidding me, man? This whole time. So no, it's Will Arnett. It's not Patrick Wilson is the guy from The Conjuring and Insidious. This is Will Arnett. Okay, so yeah, different person. That's why I was like, let me double check. But no, Will Arnett. Yeah, he was in those Ninja Turtle Michael Bay films. No wonder I wanted to forget. I think my mind wanted to replace him with an actor whose movies I enjoy more. Because I like The Conjuring. Although he was good in Rusty Rangers, I'll give him that. As the voice of one of the characters. He did a good job in that, but... yeah. He was in Blaze of Glory, Jonah Hex, and more. So, Will Arnett. Sorry about that. But, hey. Fair double check. But yeah, I'd rather talk about that because more I think about this parent stuff, it pisses me off because it's just you got lied to. It's like cheap heat in wrestling. Oh, screw you, show. And then that was all built up for nothing because in the next episode, someone shoots a fire into their house, burn the place down, and this time you see those kids, they're orphaned as well. So all this stuff of Will Arnett and the wife going through all these different types of escapism, all these different types of escaping from prison, grabbing a plane, grabbing this and that, all that footage was pointless to, number one, they weren't the kids' parents, the lead kids' parents, and number two, they're there for a couple scenes with the kids and then they die anyway off screen. As in, you see a fire and next thing you know the kids are by themselves and I don't even know if you'll ever see these kids again. It's not like our lead kids meet these kids and they form a bond and they don't work together. It's always like they're sitting here, the other's sitting there, they're facing away. And I'm sitting there going, well, what was the whole point of this? What was the whole fucking point of this? And the second part of it is the boy, again, just hypnotized. There's this big stamp that you're supposed to press onto these pieces of inventory. He's being hypnotized, so he's not understanding what he's doing. It presses stamp on this one guy. The girl, Arlene, saves the guy. The boy's still getting hypnotized. There's this guy who's an assistant to Don Johnson, which even knows something's up, but he becomes willingly oblivious to it. He seems like a nice guy, but he's so oblivious. I'm like, screw this guy. This guy's just letting things happen and doesn't want to listen to the kids. So I'm like, screw it. You get what you deserve too. So he gets hypnotized, and some tears get tied up at the sawmill, and some of them will be sawed up, and the kid, he's getting hypnotized, and turn the switch, turn off the switch, on, off the switch. Olaf dresses as a woman before that to try to get the kids in his custody, and that doesn't work out. They find out the special word to use to unhypnotize the workers. Catherine O'Hara is just pissed off, and when they least know that she gets pushed into a furnace to burn to death. Olaf escapes. The workers go after Don Johnson and chase after him. The assistant decides to go on his merry way to wherever the hell he's going. I guess he's still going to look for Don Johnson, saying, yeah, even though he's an awful person, but we still have a history together. And the lead kids are going to go to boarding school. I guess it's set up for season 2. And you still don't know a whole lot about Patrick Warburton's character, Lemony Snicket. I liked seeing Patrick Warburton. I liked him as an actor. His voice, his cadence, his deadpan delivery. There's a picture that seems like him and Neil Patrick Harris knew each other back in the day. I think it was a picture of him. Unless it was a picture of someone else that looked like him. So then, what does Patrick Warburton really have to do with all this? We don't know. Unless you, I guess, watch further. That'll be saved for later. The kids are in the same predicament as they are. Now they're going to boarding school. Nothing has changed. Nothing has gained. And I did. That's the premise of the show. A series. It's the part of this series, unfortunately. It just... But it's such a repetitive formula. And you say a lot of shows are like that. But it's a repetitive formula that for me, I just don't find any entertainment out of. Like I said, it's... The adults don't believe them. And it's a formula that just, I think, has worn thin. I think the show only lasted 2 seasons. I don't know if they willingly had it done after season 2 or they did it by choice. I don't know. Maybe so. Maybe they ran out of books and stories. I don't know the details of that. Because never read the books. I guess if you're big fans of the books, this definitely goes into more detail compared to the movie with Jim Carrey. Like I said, I did enjoy Neil Patrick Harris's performance. But I liked him as an actor. I do like Patrick Warburton. The kids... That's the theme. After this many episodes, I don't really have much insight to the characters except maybe what they can do. You don't really get much of a performance emotionally because it's not called for. They're not told, it's what they're told by the script to talk this certain way. So matter of fact and so dry, they just... I don't know, I start to not like the kids. I don't know how to put it, or just be annoyed, or just be bored. And again, that whole build up of those one parents that have such a lackluster. It's like you being jerked and then you don't finish, and there's a case of blue balls, and now there's a case of blue balls. But then she gets in the car, she leaves, she goes back home, and then she gets another guy and cheats on you for him. I'm like, well, screw this. I'm tired of this. No more. Again, unless James wants to request it, he could be my guest. But yeah, I hate that banker guy. And the visuals, it's still that dreary muted color scheme. I don't know. As I see Don Johnson in there, pretty much he's there to be the boss, chew on cigars, cough at times. They don't really learn a whole lot about their parents other than, oh, their parents didn't burn down the mill. In fact, their parents helped people. Okay. But again, they didn't really learn anything else of note for the end of a season. So just not much gained, much more lost. I don't know how to put it, but like I said, it's not for me, I guess. So that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye bye.